all to another level. Talking about the
Yes, we came to manage money.
What a great resignation is showing is that people are no longer willing to put up.
Yes.
Today, I'm really, really excited to have in this episode Antonia Bartels. She is the managing director of Randstad RiseSmart, and she specializes in career navigation, career transition, and outplacements. Hi, Antonia. Welcome to the Meaningful Work, Meaningful Life podcast.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me.
Wonderful, wonderful. So for those who don't know you, tell us in your own words who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. So yeah, I'm Antonia Bartels. I'm a director at Randstad RiseSmart, and I help global businesses harness the power of coaching to build engaged and happy employees. And that really leads to greater talent mobility, greater innovation, and greater talent retention.
I love that. I love that. We're going to delve a little bit into that in a moment. So what is one thing that people don't know about you, actually? Is there something that you may be doing or have hidden and then not many people know?
Absolutely. So to date, I've visited 38 countries, and that includes spending 3 months backpacking across Central America and French Polynesia on my own. And I had a teeny tiny backpack just for the 3 months, and it was absolutely liberating.
Wow, I think that you're going to teach me how you travel with a backpack. I travel, but I will not be able to travel with a backpack because I need at least 3 backpacks.
It was brilliant. It was really, really liberating not to have a lot of stuff with me.
Oh, wow. That is really awesome. So, we were just discussing offline earlier how actually I come across you. And I was saying that, I found you by chance, when you commented on a post of John Amici, actually, who actually posted about the exit of one head of diversity. And you shared this article that talked about the layoff of other, D&I senior executive, especially in tech. And actually, this is something that I teach people. And I was telling you also earlier, I teach people because I'm in personal branding. And I teach people that when you leave a comment, leave a meaningful comment so that some people might be very interested in what you are doing and then going to check your profile. And this is what happened to you. See, there was no way I would have come across you if you didn't leave that meaningful comment. So, and you were also talking about something about serendipity as well, and I think that can also work, but serendipity cannot work if you're not visible. Would you agree?
I would agree. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think you have to be open to new opportunities and to be confident to connect the dots where perhaps others wouldn't. I've read a really, really brilliant book recently called The Science of Serendipity, and I highly recommend it to anyone who's interested in a growth mindset, because this takes it to that next level, which is about the serendipity mindset.
I'd love to perhaps to share the name of the book actually later. How is it called? Serendipity? Just serendipity or?
It's called The Science of Serendipity.
The Science of Serendipity. Cool, wonderful. So tell me, what's your background? How did you end up doing what you are doing today? And actually, tell us a little bit more about your background and how you end up doing what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So look, I've always worked for for-purpose organizations, and I started working in recruitment and executive search. So really taking people through, how to navigate the job market with confidence, how to interview and be successful in finding the jobs that align to your values and purpose. And so it was inevitable that I entered into the world of coaching and career transition. And so now I have the fortune of supporting individuals and companies to navigate change and build resilience into their job search strategies.
That's really, really interesting. But is it something that you knew that you wanted to do since you were very young, or did you dream of something totally different when you were younger?
Oh, completely different. So if I had the choice, I would have been a ballet dancer. So very, very different to working in the world of coaching. But I'm very fortunate that I still pursue my passion of dancing, and I dance bachata and also Brazilian zouk, which are two Latin dances.
Okay, that's good. So from ballet dance dream to career coaching, I think that, all the thing is about empowerment, actually, because you also empower yourself through dance, I suppose. So let's come to what you are currently doing in your job, and which problem would you say that most companies or leaders that you support face in general?
So I think the challenge that we have at the moment is that the way that the world of work has changed and transformed since the pandemic, a lot of organizations are trying to navigate like what's next and how do they manage it. And this new normal is uncharted waters for a lot of organizations and the employees that are there with them. But the significance of the employee experience has really changed. And so the one size fits all is no longer fit for purpose. Employees need support that's unique to them. So whether it's career progression, work-life balance, developing new skills, developing new relationships and better networks, or managing stress. So the question is, how can organizations meet the individual needs of all of their employees? And we really believe at RiseSmart that actually it is possible to do that, but it has to be employee-centric, and it has to be personalized. So it's about giving people one-to-one support, and we do that through coaching.
I've heard that a lot about personalization, and it's not just even employees. The whole world is about personalization, especially now with AI. You can personalize almost everything. But how organizations are really embracing that personalization? I don't know, how do they do that practically at the moment? Do you have any clue of how organizations are able to personalize every single person when they used to have this kind of lumped approach before?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's through giving people access to a coach. First of all, it has to be affordable. It has to be scalable, and it also has to be inclusive. It's really, really important. Traditionally, coaching was reserved for executives or high potential. But now we see the power of offering coaching to everyone in an organization and making it inclusive and affordable. And the difference with that is that everybody is met where they're at. It's not applying a one size fits all. The individual gets to work with a coach on a one-on-one to work on what's important to them. And we've all got different needs. We've all got different requirements. And that's the beauty of coaching.
Yes, I totally get that. And actually, it does make sense, to say that we need to meet people where they are at, and then you can't do that as a group. You can only do that individually, and I definitely think that coaching is one of the solutions. It's good to get there.
Absolutely. And the challenge is, in this increasingly busy and complex world, where most of us are time poor, and a lot of organizations have got lots of different learning and development resources, online learning, but people skip through them. They don't really engage them. They don't feel like they have enough time. Give someone half an hour with a coach once a week or once every couple of weeks and see the transformation.
Yes, I actually can attest to that, actually, because I do also work with some organization. And sometimes, yes, they will always come say, oh, we don't have time to do this and that and the other, but they always turn up for the coaching session.
Exactly.
Yeah, so definitely, you're totally right. So what actually would you say that are some of the biggest problems that organizations are encountering today, especially when it comes to employee engagement? Because we know about the Great Resignation, and the last season I did was all about the great reinvention, that I've called that, versus the Great Resignation. But now, what actually are the greatest challenge that they are having? Why people are leaving? Why they are not feeling engaged? Why they are not engaging inside the organization?
Well, I think it comes back to what I said earlier around the fact that, we've seen the biggest shift in the way that we work since the pandemic. And actually, the research tells us that employee engagement is at an all-time low. And organizations trying to navigate this have got a really difficult time, because what one person needs is not the same as another. And so that blanket approach isn't working. And, people are engaged, people's engagement is impacted, their productivity is impacted. And organizations are trying to manage this whilst, facing really tough economic times and looking at how they can save costs and needing to restructure. So it's a really difficult time for businesses to work on engagement. We also know that engaged employees are happier, they're more productive. So it's almost this chicken and the egg situation that we're in.
Yeah, totally. I get that. So, and this season, we are focusing much more also about exploring employee advocacy and how employees can become the best ambassador for their companies, which obviously is not going to happen if they don't like working there, they are not engaged, and so what would you think that from your experience company need to consider for their employees to, obviously, one, love working for them, and second, to become their best brand ambassadors?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, and it's very relevant at the moment because we're seeing an unprecedented number of restructures and redundancies. So a lot of people are losing their jobs at the moment. So the single most important thing that a company can do is to treat their people the same way that they do on the first day that they start in the organization and the same way on their last day. Because people never forget how they were made redundant or how they were communicated to, what support they were given. And we know that companies are really facing difficult times at the moment. So how you treat people when they leave says so much more about the organization than when they start. It's really, really crucial that organizations are really living their values from the first day that an employee starts all the way to their last day. And that's where we see the difference.
And yes, so, and that is so true, actually. The exit strategy has to match, not because I always say something that they are leaving the house, but they don't leave the family. And then when they leave, they can still become your brand ambassador when they're outside and actually refer people back if they had a great experience. So, and inside, how, before they leave, let's suppose that they are not leaving yet and they are in the organization. What are some of the things that the employers can really offer those employees to really feel that they are at home where they are and be their brand ambassador as well?
Yeah, great question. So there's a couple of things. First of all, we know that we hear that the two main reasons why people leave an organization is one, not feeling like they have a great relationship with their manager or challenges with their managers. So I think there's a huge opportunity to upskill managers. And the command and control approach that perhaps was one fit for purpose is no longer fit for purpose today. So we need to help managers to have coaching conversations. We need to upskill managers to become coaches and to be able to help guide their teams to find the answers rather than, dictate or determine the answers for themselves. And then the second piece is really around helping people navigate their careers, showing people that you don't necessarily need to have a linear career, but you can expand your career within the organization in a I guess a non-traditional sense. So is that working for a project or a gig opportunity? Helping people to navigate their careers so they feel like there's a place for them is really important. And then a final thing to add is a sense of belonging. So helping people feel like they belong. And that all comes down to helping people feel like they're represented, they're included, and it's a fair and equitable workplace.
Wow, yes. All those things that you touched on is so relevant. And I just think that just means that we need a total different paradigm shift, because, we cannot still work in the old command and control type of manners in this way and having this kind of sense of belonging and this sense of empowerment to those our employees. But how ready though are employee or organization ready to embrace this? Because some of them may say, well, if you don't like it here, here's the door. So this is not going to be sustainable in the long run.
It's really not. And, while economic conditions are extremely tough, organizations realize that they still need to remain a talent destination. Yeah. And in order to remain a talent destination, listening to your employees and really understanding their needs is crucial. And without that, they won't be able to remain a talent destination.
Yeah, I love that, talent destination. So yeah, the company needs to definitely change, and it needs obviously a lot of change management program, a lot of coaching, and a lot of other kind of tools to rethink this new organization. I actually wrote a ebook during the Great Resignation, actually last year, about how to redesign an organization post-pandemic. So now, can you share one of the example, perhaps of one of the best company you've seen in terms of employee engagement? What kind of company is that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to use an example from in the pandemic, and this is really a showcasing how to look after your people. So obviously we know Airbnb were massively hit by the pandemic, and it had a huge impact on their organization, and they had to reduce their workforce by up to 25%. So it's a really significant amount, and they did it in a way which showed a lot of compassion, even vulnerability from the CEO and the co-founder, and a lot of care as well. And so what they did during this time is they gave that workforce, that 25% of the workforce that were leaving in a really tough time, they gave every impact employee the opportunity to work with a team of experts with RiseSmart, actually. So every single person had a career coach who was going to help them navigate the change, work out what's next strategy is going to be. They had a professional branding expert, so they had a really great standout resume in a really busy market, a great LinkedIn profile. They had a job concierge, so someone who was going to help them handpick jobs and save time, because we all know that the job searching is very, very overwhelming.
Of course.
And needless to say, these employees, although it was a really tough time, they felt cared for. And what that did for the people that were staying was huge. Their friends, their colleagues, their teammates, they could see that they were being cared for. Mm-hmm. And that had a huge impact on the engagement of all those people that were staying in the business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that. Wow, that's a brilliant actually strategy. Yes, although the company own bottom line was impacted, they actually offered this support to the team. So definitely, people were staying. We'll see how they will be cared for as well if they have to leave, or if something. So, and obviously I'm sure that some of those people will end up leaving, may become the best brand ambassador of Airbnb, actually, because
absolutely. Absolutely. And I think we've got to remember that people exiting the business, they could become future clients. They could become they could boomerang back to the organization. They may, if they have a good experience, they may recommend a friend or someone else in their network to go back to work with that organization. So we really have to think about the impact of that exit experience on people. I mean, primarily it's the right thing to do, but also we've got to think about brand protection as well during workforce changes.
Yeah, brand protection, definitely. So what is one of the worst one that you've seen? Any worst example of employee engagement that you've encountered?
Yeah, look, I'm not going to name and shame, but...
Yeah, don't name and shame, just tell me a story.
Yeah, look, LinkedIn is a great source of information, and actually you can see how people feel during an exit process. Yeah. People are a lot more open about what's happening when they're made redundant and when they're going through that experience. And you can really see the difference when organizations support their individuals to exit, to find their new beginnings faster, and when they don't. And so, yeah, LinkedIn, I think, if you're doing some research on a future employer, LinkedIn is a really, really great place to start to see, if there are workforce changes, how have they treated their people.
How do you do that? I know that Glassdoor, you can definitely see the reviews on the employees, but on LinkedIn, outside of browsing the feed and seeing unsatisfied employees complaining, is there a way that you see any kind of review, how you'll be treated in the company on LinkedIn?
Yeah, I think if you're following organizations that you're interested in, and there are changes, people are a lot more vocal these days. People will really, put themselves out there and kind of share their experiences. So I think it's about just keeping on top of what is the latest for those organizations.
Okay, that's good. Thank you so much. So what would be your advice to leaders who want to start creating a culture of empowerment? They may be small, they may be bigger, so then they can have employees who really love working for them and become their ambassadors. Any kind of tips and advice for those?
Yeah, absolutely. So when employees receive, the guidance and support that they need, that's tailored to them, it's personalized to them and their world, they feel empowered. And when people feel empowered, they thrive. And when people are thriving, the organization thrives. So we really see this through coaching. Coaching has a way to transform people and also transform the organizations that they work in. So I think it all comes back to giving people that personalized support. The one size fits all it's no longer relevant. It's no longer fit for purpose.
And what is the best way to find what employees need? Obviously, you need to ask them, but is there a way that they can systematize that inside the organization to find out about the needs?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're seeing a lot of organizations move away from, the annual employee engagement survey. Checking the pulse once a year isn't really going to help you figure out where people are at. Yeah. And moving towards pulse surveys, so regular check-ins, whether that's quarterly or even more frequently. So that's one great thing that we've seen. And then the other is moving away from annual reviews and more about learning in the flow of work and getting feedback in the flow. So that's a great way for managers to kind of stay close to how their employees and how their team are feeling, and not waiting for it to be, that six-month review or that annual review, but really checking in with their people more frequently.
Yeah, I love that. Yes, continuous checking in conversation, checking the poll, morning, are you okay, kind of things. You don't wait for, something to happen. I think it was Adidas. I interviewed Adidas person last time. They have a great way of actually checking in with people as well to find out about their needs. Wonderful. So now let's look at the last part of this interview, which is the 3M, meaning, money, and movement, because this podcast is called, after all, Meaningful Work, Meaningful Life. So where do you get your inspiration from?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a great question. I get my inspiration from, I guess, from my family, to be honest. My grandfather was the first black headmaster of a school in Ghana called Infantsipim, and he had the great honor of teaching Kofi Annan as a student, and he really paved the way for being courageous in the work that you do, for being bold and finding connection and meaning with people. And that really inspires me in the work that I do today.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So let's give you now, I'm so generous. I'm a generous person. I'm not going to give you £1 billion today. What would you do, and how would you spend your days when you receive this money?
Absolutely. So what a great question. I would use that money to offer coaching in the community. And what I mean by that is that I would offer part funding coaching programs to people that wouldn't traditionally be able to afford coaching. So that could be someone from a low economic household, ethnic minority, an entrepreneur, a graduate. And I would give that to, all of those people that would show an interest that wouldn't necessarily have access to it. Because I really do believe that we, by lifting others up, that is a power that we can all hold individually.
Yeah, I love that. Yes, giving the chance to people who don't have that chance to give, one-to-one. Wouldn't that be wonderful if everybody can have a coach that can, help them grow and tap into their full potential and get to the right direction, figure things out.
Absolutely. And that is the beauty of coaching. It's, the coach is a facilitator, but the power is really within the individual, and the coach helps through, curiosity and inquiry to help the individual find their own answers. Mm-hmm. And that's what we need, right? In this busy world, we're so overwhelmed, so time poor. So give everyone, a little bit of time each week or every couple of weeks to focus on themselves and their mindset. That would be incredible.
Totally. Unlearning all that we learn that is not serving us.
Exactly.
Wonderful. So how do you want to be remembered for, Antonia?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, this comes back to the coaching, and it's, I want to be remembered for being part of a ripple effect of people living authentically, people using their time in a way that really aligns to their purpose and their values.
That's lovely, lovely. And I'm sure that you are living it already. So, this is the legacy that is going to outlive you, actually. Wonderful. So now, how can people reach you and learn more about you and your work?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can follow me on LinkedIn, Antonia Bartels, or you can send me an email at antonia.bartels@randstadrisesmart.co.uk.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Antonia, for joining me today in the Meaningful Work, Meaningful Life podcast and sharing really your insights, your valuable insights. I really, truly appreciate it. Keep up the good work.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
Wonderful.